Welcome to the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast. I am your host, Arely Lagunas. This is an audio community where we own and share our stories as trailblazer moms, crafting a unique and meaningful work lifestyle, leading with passion, breaking barriers, and chasing bold dreams on our own terms. Celebrating our Latina motherhood voices to bring you genuine insights to the highs, the lows, and in-betweens of working moms from a first-gen Latina lens. We don't have to travel this journey alone. Let's get started. Jenise Rodriguez is the esthetician and owner of Sanar Aesthetics in Humboldt Park. Humboldt Park born, Boricua mother of one, skincare bruja, and creator of Sanar Skin Oil Blend, Jenise has built a highly successful spa. She is booked out for 3 to 4 months at a time, and she was recently featured in the Chicago Sun-Times. Jenise is committed to quality customer service and prioritizing her client needs. She believes not only in results, but the powerful healing of human touch, connection, spirit, and good love. So I am really excited to welcome Jenise to our podcast. Jenise, welcome, and we look forward to chatting this conversation with you today.
Thank you for having me. And I did want to say my spa is actually located in Logan Square, and I am from Humboldt Park.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that for our audience.
Problem.
And I am particularly excited about this because one of the pillars of our podcast is self-care and wellness. And what a better way to start this episode by talking to someone like you who is an expert, an esthetician. So tell me a little bit about, before we get started and learning a little bit more about your business and your mission, tell us a little bit more about your childhood living in Chicago.
Well, like you said, I am born and raised in Chicago. Some of my fondest memories are being brought up in Humboldt Park, being brought up in the culture, going to the park to watch my grandfather play his softball games, being exposed to the loud music, smelling the barbecues, just those beautiful vibes, being with my family, that energy, playing outside with my cousins and the fire hydrants, and just having that warm, true community, being taken care of with other people and their kids, kind of other mothers watching out for each other. So I do feel lucky enough to be brought up in that true village type of community growing up. And it's something that me and my friends really have made important to give our children now that we are raising them together, to have that sense of community, and we like to call our own village within our own children and each other.
Yes, very important, especially in the time we live in. I think community is so important. And, you brought me back to memory lane, when you talked about the fire hydrants. So for those that don't live in the Chicagoland area, right, that was part of our childhood. And it's so nice to hear all the good memories that you have growing up in Chicago. And it's really nice, right? What I think it's really great about this story and your journey is that you were raised in Chicago, and now you have been featured, right, on the Chicago Sun-Times for your work. So that's very impressive. And I like to learn a little bit more about how that journey started, right? So as a child, you're living in Chicago. What did you want to be when you were an adult? Did you have those thoughts in mind?
Well, honestly, as a child, I don't really remember what I wanted to be, but I did go to college, and originally my goal was I did want to be an ASL teacher. My goal was to obtain a bachelor degree in American Sign Language or deaf education, but I didn't have a chance to finish traditional college because my younger brother did get shot, and I had to come back home to help my family. During that time, I ended up having my daughter, and I went to aesthetics school. Growing up, I had a passion for skin. I always helped my mom pick her blackheads. During high school, my friends always came over. I would kind of have them wash their face. They'd lay in my bed. I'd pick their skin. We'd go to Jewel and we'd help. I'd pick their skincare, and there you go. So that's kind of how my passion grew. It originally always was my passion, if you think about it. So kind of worked out that I didn't finish in that education route because that really wasn't my passion. My passion always was skincare. So here I am, I ended up working in spas for other people. Eventually I ended up working throughout my apartment. I redid a bedroom, which became a little spa room. And then I opened up my first little space, which was a small little room with a lounge area. And then I expanded during COVID. And then that's kind of how that article came about. During COVID, when I expanded, I signed my lease, then we got shut down. So I couldn't even service people. I was paying rent on some spaces and I couldn't even service anyone. So there I am now with a spa without making money. So the struggle began again. Luckily, my clients are extremely loyal and kept me going by buying gift certificates and purchasing products online. So the Chicago Sun-Times had originally contacted me when I had to shut down and kind of was asking me how was I going to survive. And I had told them I was just going to try to apply for some loans or whatever the government was offering me. And I did obtain something just to kind of keep me going and then move forward. A few years later, they contacted me again and decided to see how I was doing. And I'm doing amazing. Like you said, I'm booked 3 to 4 months out. If I allowed my clients to book me out for a year, they would, but I can't do that because my mental health is very important. So yeah, that's really how I started. This is my passion, and it's really honestly has started from my childhood.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, your journey. It talks a lot about how resilient you are and how you have managed to go through adversity. And that's really important, especially for our audience and for someone who may be in a similar situation, right? To hear from you that you were able to navigate these curveballs that we often get in our lifetime, going through first with your brother, and very sorry to hear that happened to your brother, then having your business during COVID and by external circumstances, right? What we lived through COVID, a lot of businesses had to shut down temporarily. So that definitely brought in challenges. And then also, right, maintaining that mental health. I thought that was very important for you to highlight that because a lot of times, we're all in that space, but we don't in our communities, right? We don't have the ability to openly talk about that because that's how we were raised to have like a stigma around mental health. But thankfully, now I think we're breaking some of those barriers. So your entire journey so far that you share with us, it's just an example of how someone like you can go through adversity and challenges and be able to pass that storm, right? Go through that storm, and now you're seeing more of like the sun after the
Definitely.
rainbow after the rain, right?
Yes.
After the storm.
Definitely, that's how I see it. There's been times that I don't know how I got through it, and I've always definitely believed in mind over matter over a lot of things, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel, for sure, with me.
Yes. And with what you mentioned earlier, you've had this special interest in skincare, and you've helped your mom with her skin. How does that translate? How does the work you do, how does that translate into confidence? Do you see in your clients the confidence boost after they have a service with you? What does confidence mean to you? And do you believe with your clientele, right? I don't know if you have more women or men, but do you believe there is that lack of confidence in some of the clients that you had service with?
Definitely, like confidence, for a lot of people, I feel like it's being really secure with yourself, being secure with your beliefs and decisions you make. But a lot of times, your confidence is your face, your skin, and that is the first thing people do see. And sometimes when people grow up with acne, they are accustomed to having acne as a child and growing up. But when an adult doesn't have acne as a child, and then all of a sudden they develop acne as an adult, their confidence is really affected. Or, even a child, and that can, really make them depressed. They can be on antidepressants and all sorts of things. So when they come to me and I really help them educate them on their skin, and they see what their skin is capable of doing with the proper education and skincare, and that confidence level and how heightened it is after a few months of skincare, it's unbelievable. Or I've said this many times, when an older woman goes home after getting her first facial, and her husband after 30 years sees her and is like, whoa, what did you do to yourself? You look beautiful. Just her telling me that the next time is so empowering for her. It's just amazing. And that alone, it's why I do what I do. Not just for the kids with acne, or adults with acne. It's an overall inner glow that it gives people. It's not just a facial, what I do. That's what I tell people. It's not just popping pimples. That's not all I do. Gives people a little kick in their step when they leave, or when they just look at themselves and they say, I can't believe I look brighter. That's really empowering, and it kind of gives them ready for the day, to face people in a different way and not be worried about their skin. You shouldn't worry about your skin. There's more to that than your face, your pimples, So I'm
Yes.
thankful that I'm able to help people with their confidence in that way.
That's great. How you're able to make a transformation with a care, right? And when it comes to skincare, what kind of clients do you have the most? Is it younger generation? Is it mothers, or is it a mix?
It starts with people my age. Now I'm 39. I started in this industry in my early 20s, so we've all kind of grown up together. But now, obviously, I have people in their 20s. I have clients' children now. My favorite that I get now is when clients want to bring in their elders. So their tias, their mothers, their grandmothers are my favorites. So things like, I have a wide range. They bring in their husbands, but my biggest demographic, yes, is women. And I have a good handful of men.
Yes. And you brought up a point earlier, how your face, right? It's usually the first point of contact that someone makes when you're having first impression, or you're having a meeting for the first time at work, or you're meeting with someone on a personal date. Your face is that first impression, right? And I believe during COVID, right, we were restricted with having a mask. So there was a limited exposure, right? We had our eyes, and I think at that point, we almost had like a little bit even more care, right, about our face, because you can only see our eyes and you can see our forehead and our nose. So would you say that with the COVID pandemic, did that also change the mindset, or maybe have a little bit of more knowledge and being more cognizant of the skin for everyone else?
So it can go both ways. With me, a lot of my clients or I should say, clients that couldn't get in to see me had a chance to see me virtually. So I was able to help treat their skin virtually. Okay. Which was beautiful, because they never thought that they could take care of their skin, right? Clients that didn't have issues with breakouts, all of a sudden they were wearing these masks all the time. Then they developed that maskne, and oh my God, they didn't know what to do with it. And what did they keep doing? Covering it up, covering it up, covering it up. So then when we stopped wearing these masks, then they had to deal with all this acne. So then it was just this whole new depression and anxiety that they were dealing with, because now we could not wear masks, but they were still wearing masks because they were so self-conscious of this new issue they were dealing with. They had anxiety of, COVID, but was it the COVID or the acne that they were more stressed out? That's what I was dealing with these clients, So it just didn't stop with my clients, So then I had to teach them how to treat their acne, but still wear the mask. So it was really something else to deal with.
Yeah, no, thank you for pointing that out. You are absolutely correct. With the mask, it can go both ways, right? You can completely focus on what's visible, but then once the mask mandate is no longer there, then
Have to deal.
Exactly. And I'm not an expert, but I would think also the type of mask you wear probably also had an impact on your skin and your skin type.
My healthcare providers were the ones that had the biggest changes in their skin. So we really had to revamp their skincare, because they were with the constant masks. So they developed a ton of skin issues, and it was extremely sad because they were the ones dealing with the most of everything, and they shouldn't have to be worried about their skin.
Yes. And talking about this, I think this is the perfect transition, because my next question to you is, how does your business, Sanar Aesthetics, how does it align with your values?
Just like we said, just healing. I really believe in the power of healing, the power of touch, understanding what my clients need at that moment. I'm not a one size fits all esthetician, everything is customized with me. My menu it's not like a specific menu. Everything is by time, the general facials, I should say. So everyone's self-care is different,
One of the things I loved hearing about your highlight on the Chicago Sometimes is that you're offering that human touch, right? And that's so important. I think that goes back to what you were saying about your values.
Yeah, it kind of just, I feel like, so not always, like, to me, always meant to heal, and just focusing on each individual's client's needs, not what the next person is doing, or not what the next spa is doing. I don't care. I care about what my client needs. And that's really what's important to me, what each individual client needs. So that's really it.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about this, right? We talked about what it took for you to build and where you are right now. What do you think has been your greatest lessons or your learnings that you have acquired from building Sanar Aesthetics?
Some of the biggest things lately have really been my boundaries and burnouts. And respecting people's time and people respecting my time. I feel like I've always respected people's time. But with the boundaries and burnout, before in the past, I always wanted to accommodate everyone. As a service provider, that's what we do. We provide a service. So we want to just get everyone in. So I would always take extra people in because I'd feel guilty. But then I realized people didn't feel guilty that I was working late or coming in early all the time, and then that created that burnout. And I wasn't performing my best. And I kept seeing what that was causing me in my mental health and how no one really cared about that. So once I started placing those things into place by not overbooking myself, or for instance, closing off my books and not accepting new clients, some people didn't like that. And I lost a lot of clients over the last 2 years because they didn't want to rebook because they didn't know their schedule or they weren't willing to email me. And that's okay. Everybody has to respect the new rules, the new boundaries. I had to implement things like deposits to avoid no-shows and late cancellations, because a lot of people would cancel day of or day before and not understand that I can't rebook that. And a lot of people didn't like that. And a lot of people stopped coming back. And that's okay, because with every client loss, someone else is willing to respect my time. So
Yes.
I really have learned I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. And I feel a lot of service providers have to remind themselves of that. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. I think a lot of us can resonate with that. And what I loved about this is that through the boundaries, you are having that self-respect for yourself, right?
That's it. Yeah, self-respect for myself. Thank you.
Yes. No. I read this quote, and I think it goes with what you said. When we set boundaries, we teach people how to treat us, right?
Yeah.
And we want to be treated the same way we treat others, right? With respect, but also have our own self-respect as well.
Yeah.
And I think boundaries are great. And often I've noticed that in the beginning, it's hard to establish those boundaries, right? Maybe it's because as a Latino community, maybe we were not exposed to boundaries as much.
We're taught that it's a little disrespectful, maybe.
Yes.
Or we seem ungrateful.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's not. It's like, people don't care about how we're digging ourselves in this hole, or it's just not fair to us.
Correct. But I think once we know how to use it, we want to use it all the time, right? Such a powerful tool. Such a powerful tool. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked about that, and such a great lesson. I agree. It's a great lesson, and thank you for sharing that with us. And along with that, how do you blend everything that you have going on, whether it's your career, your personal development, how do you navigate through that? Because as you know, it's not always going to be perfect, but how do you do that?
I get overstimulated pretty easily. So I need a lot of alone time. That's honestly, like, after work, I come home. Quiet time is really needed to kind of decompress. When I shower, I have a lot of friends that make amazing bath products and things like that. So using my friends' amazing bath products and beautiful lotions after is really it's like this my beautiful form of self-care, knowing that my friends make these beautiful products too with love. I don't know, it's real nurturing for me.
Yes.
Going out to eat. I love good food. I like to travel when I can, spending time with my daughter, and just kind of being outside and doing things I enjoy. I love my friends when I do want to hang out. I have such a wide variety of crazy friends that are just so different that kind of grounds me. When I do need them, they're always there. They understand when I need to isolate myself, but they understand when I need to come up for air, like I like to say. So I'm really thankful for them all the time.
Got it. Yes. That's great. That's awesome how you have been able to find what works for you. And I agree. I also get overstimulated, and I didn't realize until recently how much I enjoy being alone. Right? I love my family, but I also love my alone time. So that's very important, of course. And, we haven't talked we haven't talked as much, I should say, about Jenise as a person, as a human. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more about perhaps your motherhood journey?
Sure. I'm a mother of one. She is my amazing daughter, Tia. I did have her young at 19 years old. She's honestly been the motivation for me to really, she lit that fire under me to just kind of get it together. She's amazing. She's going to be a sophomore in college now. She's just, I don't know, she's just a perfect person for me. I always call her my soulmate. It's been extremely challenging having to raise we grew up together, basically, you know, extremely challenging having to balance that, breaking a ton of generational curses and cycles, and trying to not repeat things from my childhood, and just trying to set a proper example for her has probably been the most challenging thing. But I really feel me and her dad have raised a really good woman. She's really amazing. Lucky that while me and her dad were together, he was an amazing dad. He's an amazing dad. So we're really proud of her. So motherhood has been extremely enjoyable. I love every minute of it. And I'm really excited to see what she continues to do, because she just like kind of wows us all the time.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to your daughter. Yes, what a interesting time, right? They're in their teens, right? Almost in adulthood. I'm sure it's every day there's something new to learn about that stage in motherhood.
It's exciting to see her, you know, exploring these young adulthood years for her, you know, enjoying her college life and just seeing her do life. It's just really nice.
What are some myths in motherhood that you have realized later, you know what, they weren't actually true? Is there anything in your motherhood journey that, I know you talked about breaking generational barriers, right? And generational maybe curses. Is there anything along with that that you want to share?
I feel too, you know, when you become a young mother, there's that stigma, like you're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to finish school, support yourselves. I was able to do it. You know, it's really, like I said, mind over matter. I didn't give myself an option. There was no option. I wasn't going to blame anything on anyone. There was just, I had to do it. The one thing I feel a lot of people do blame is the time. Like, I don't have enough time for my kid. I don't have enough time for my kid. We'll make time. You know, I saw that happening and I ended up figuring it out. And that's why I started working for myself, because I knew as she got older, she was going to need more of my time. And I needed to figure out my schedule. If she needed me to go to a function, I would have to rearrange my schedule and not have to ask a boss. I needed to be the boss. So that's why I made my own job, basically.
Yeah, no.
For her.
I love how you mentioned time, because yes, that is something that is recurring theme for especially mothers, right?
Yeah.
And I agree. I came to the conclusion that you will make time for those things, for the things that you want to do, for the things that matter. You will make time. You will place your energy on that. It's not going to be easy, but it is feasible. Whereas before I used to fall into that category, like, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, right? But then I realized, yeah, let's make time for it. You know, we're gonna have to reprioritize or whatever we have to do, right, to make it happen.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, they always say they're not young, they're not little forever. And now it's like my daughter doesn't live at home. She's living in her dorm, you know. She really wasn't little forever. And I'm thankful that I was able to sacrifice so much and be able to rearrange so much of my time for her, because I wouldn't have been able to get that back, you know.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. Definitely. It's great to hear that you're able to have that relationship with your daughter, and it sounds like there's a lot more a lot more awaiting in the next couple of years for you guys to share. One of the other questions I have for you is, for those that are hearing about Jenise Rodriguez for the first time, what would you want our audience to know about you? What do you want to leave behind as a legacy through your company, Sanar Aesthetics, right? What is it that you want? What is that message that you want to convey?
You know, for my family and future generations after me, obviously with any company, you know, we want to leave that financial security, but I want Sanar Aesthetics to go on and people to always know the customer service that they're going to get when they walk into a Sanar Aesthetics. I want them to remember Jenise for the community service that she's done in the past, that she's going to continue to do in the future. I love my community. I try to do as much as I can when I can. This year, I did take a little bit of a break for my own mental health, but I just hope to be able to continue to give back as much as I can. I don't want to just be known as a pimple popper, basically, you know? So that's all. I just hope to be able to continue to give back and heal as much as possible.
Well, Jenise, it's been very enlightening to hear about your journey. But what I love the most is your tenacity through all this adversity and these challenges that you've been through. It speaks volumes about you as a person. And then not only that, you know, turning a passion of yours into a business is also very intriguing, and not everybody does that, right? And having that value grounded to it of helping others. And what you mentioned, you know, you love hearing about your clients and how they feel better, how they feel empowered, how they have built confidence. I think that has a lot of it creates a big impact to your business, I would assume, and it encourages you to keep going, especially during those times that are very challenging for you.
It definitely does keep me going.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a reason, you know. Sometimes when I'm feeling down or stressed out and I all of a sudden get a text from a client, you know, how her skin is just feeling so great, it just kind of reminds me of why I'm here and why I'm doing what I do.
Absolutely. And so thank you for sharing your journey with us today. I would love for you to share your social media handle and how our audience can follow you on social media, or perhaps even book you in the future.
Okay, thank you for having me. This was also my first podcast, so I felt very comfortable. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Sanar Aesthetics. You could email me at sanaraesthetics@gmail.com, and you can email me for all bookings as well.
Jenise, it's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you and to honor us by being your first podcast interview of course, many others that will be coming to you. And it's a pleasure to have you as a business and leader in our local community, which for me is also the Chicagoland area. So thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast. We have a new episode every month. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave a review and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.